Good morning. This chat today not is not a rant. Um, Today I wanted to talk briefly about asking questions. I find that there's some people, just a group of people, who find it really difficult to ask questions. I don't know whether it's pride or other reasons. I have no idea why people would be afraid to ask questions. I personally don't have any problems with asking questions, and I think that the most the thing to remember is that no one knows everything. No matter how knowledgeable you are, no matter how much education you've acquired, no matter what your qualifications are, I want everyone to remember that you can never know everything. You can be an expert in the subject A, but not in subject B. And even when you're an expert in subject A, things change all the time. I personally feel that if you find any opportunity to act ignorant, use it. If you find an opportunity to learn, to be on the receiving end, take it. Sometimes it's just a question of you reinforcing what you know. I sometimes, I'm a pharmacist. I go to the doctor's office sometimes and I have the medical assistants or the nurses and the doctor, they talk to me about certain things. The only person who would probably know is my physician. But the other people who I meet every now and then, whether it's because my doctor is not available or for whatever reason I'm seeing someone, even when I go to pick up my medication from pharmacies, I always feign ignorance. And it's not really to test to see how knowledgeable people are. It's really to make sure that there's nothing new that I'm missing. Because sometimes you can be so absorbed or so certain that you know everything about a certain thing that you miss out on some knowledge, however little it is. I believe in knowledge. I believe that you can never know enough. I believe that you should always be willing to learn, explore, and research. I'm a naturally curious person, so I always want to know what's going on. But I find that there are a group of people who find it really difficult to ask questions. They, it's very frustrating and irritating sometimes. Instead of asking a question, oh, I like this. Where did you get this from? I'm interested in this. How can I access this? Or can you show me how to do this? Or do you know where I can learn how to do this? I don't have any problems with asking those questions. There's nothing wrong. I feel that you have to be confident in yourself to understand that asking questions does not diminish you for you to feel free and ask questions. Not asking questions for me is not necessarily pride, it's actually ignorance. And it's not feeling adequate, it's lacking confidence. Why else would you not want to know? If you're confident in yourself, why is it a problem for you to ask questions? If you're confident in what you do know, then you shouldn't have any problems in finding out things that you do not know. One of the biggest problems that we had when we first moved here was because we really didn't know anyone who knew enough about the education system here. Our children were probably the older kids amongst all the people we knew. So when we came, we really did not get any help. We couldn't even get any answers to the questions that we had. Considering we were coming from England, where I was beginning to research into the next step for our kids at the time. Coming here, I thought, there would be people who had gone through the whole process, and there were people who had children who were older than ours. And we were hoping that, we'll get the information that we wanted that would help us make our own decision. But that was not the case. And so for me, that was very frustrating. And that was a very uncertain time for us because we were literally flying blind. So when I see people who have access to that knowledge, who are related to people who know these things, who have friends who know these things, I don't understand why it becomes difficult for you to ask questions. Can you explain to me how you do this? How do you know which one to choose? How do you make your decisions? How do you choose? How do you make the choices? What do you consider? My youngest daughter is now going through the process of graduate school. I'm part of so many groups on Facebook for parents. People our age, we do Facebook, we don't do Instagram as such. And I don't know whether the other social media platforms that they use, but we do Facebook. And these groups have been phenomenal. I wish that I had known about how helpful these Facebook groups were or are. I would have joined a long time ago. And trust me, I would have made different decisions. I would have taken different decisions, but I didn't know. Since I found out about these Facebooks, they have been really priceless. You can ask any questions. I mean, I made one recently and I said, we're new to this. This is our first student who is going through this. So I'm going to be asking very basic questions that might come across as, too basic. But please forgive me, but I want to know. There's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. And I feel that when you're honest asking questions, you get good responses. You get people who are willing to help you, who are willing to give you the answers to the questions that you're asking. So if you're one of those who maybe you're embarrassed to ask questions, or you think that asking questions diminishes you, please stop. It does not diminish you in any way. Sometimes is the way that you ask it. If you ask it in a way to say, well, listen, I know this, but no, just act a fool. Just say, well, I have no idea, or give me an idiot proof steps and guidelines as to how to do this. It's much easier that way. I don't have any problems. And if you don't know how to do something, please say you don't. I don't have any issues in saying that I don't know those things. I'm tech challenged. I'm, part of the Gen X generation who are apparently tech challenged. I don't have any problems in saying that. And whatever I do, you can tell that I am not 100% comfortable with some of the things. And I will ask questions. I don't have any problems in asking questions. So please don't hesitate to ask questions. Asking questions or wanting to know more about what you're already doing, or wanting to know something that you don't know at all, asking questions never ever diminishes you. So please ask questions. And until my next video, take care. Goodbye.